Today's lesson, what we're working on is hair cutting. In the beginning of the class, when I first start with the theory end of my class, I like to hand out a PowerPoint presentation in an actual hard copy for my students so they follow along while I have it on my smartboard. We're going to be talking about the principles, basic principles of hair cutting, and we're going to talk about certain terminology that they need to have a common knowledge of, reference points such as the parietal ridge, occipital bone, the occipital bone in the back of the head, apex is at the highest point of your head, four corners. We talk about the areas of the head, the two sides, the back, the front, we call it the fringe, the crown, the nape. Then we'll go into some lines to explain to them. Primarily we deal with vertical, diagonal, and horizontal. When we're holding the hair with haircuts, there are four primary haircuts, and they're called 0 degree, 45, 90, and 180. And we refer to that as far as elevation. It's the angle at which the hair is held. And it's very important also for students to understand shrinkage. That's why they must saturate the hair evenly so that when you're cutting, you get a nice straight line. If it's not evenly saturated, you will never get a straight line and you'll keep cutting. So that's something that's very key point to them. The angles in which we hold the hair when we're cutting is the cutting line. So that's how we talk about diagonal, vertical, horizontal. With this haircut, in general, we hold it vertically or horizontal. There are two primary guidelines. We have a stationary guideline, don't move. And then we have a traveling guideline, which follows the shape of the head, and it progresses moving around the head. In the picture shown on the right side, you see how they're following the shape of the head, following this circle, the arc that it's going, and you hold the hair straight out from where it grows. We speak about another term, over-direction. Over-direct the hair so that if they want to keep it a little longer by the face, we over-direct it away so it's from its natural falling position. Always, always, always have to maintain safety. It's very important. A lot of them, sometimes they get a little anxious and they get excited, and I tell them always do not cut past your second knuckle. We tend to have a lot of casualties the first week of hair cutting because they think, oh, I can do it, but they must adhere to all safety, especially around the ears, and they have to palm their shears when they are not cutting with them. The 90-degree haircut is a layered haircut. It's uniform layers. So it cuts the hair, and generally every hair on the head is the same length. So there's not a weight line on the hair. Some other terms they're going to deal with: partings, the crown, lines in their sections, the tension that they're holding, the head position, how they're standing in front of the section they're working on, that they check both sides, that they use that mirror as a visual aid for them so that they can keep balance on both sides. And when they cross-check their haircut to make sure it's finally checked and it's all even. I also give them the haircut procedure, which is listed out step-by-step instruction. For this haircut in particular, there's 11 steps, and it breaks it down into each step, telling and explaining them in detail exactly what side to be, where do you start, where do I go next. And it lays it out in all these steps. So they always have this on them as well. Once they get to the last step, it's cross-checking. And you're going to check and make sure there's no longer pieces hanging down the perimeter, that they check the whole haircut, they made sure the angle is good, and it's all comes complete. And then I come over and I recheck what they've done. The standards that I abide by are primarily from the New York State CDOS. It's the Curriculum Development of Occupational. They learn a multi-step procedure of carrying out, taking measurements, performing multitasks, analyzing their results as far as am I balanced, am I even. They will demonstrate the knowledge of the skill that they acquire for the workplace. They demonstrate and master a foundation skill essential to get a job in this industry. They have a career major that is specific for a knowledge of a skill that will give them gainful employment and move on into the industry and be successful in secondary, or whether they go into further education. From here, I like to move on and go into my hands-on demo, where I get the class up, they stand around me, and I actually do a demonstration showing them section by section exactly how it needs to be cut. Where they start, where they stand, how they hold everything, where the fingers are, their body language, how I hold my shears, and where I cut.